Hi guys, it's the Forgetful Skull. Let's chat about books. This week is, I totally remember. I feel this is appropriate now. This week is Memory Lost and Haunted House. So the first one is The Raven Spell, A Conspiracy of Magic, Book 1 by Luanne G. Smith. Okay, so this one is a little different than other books I have covered. This is not a romance novel. This is an urban historical dark fantasy. At least that's murder mysteries. That's what it was tagged as in the Kindle store. So I give it 3 stars, and I liked it. And a lot of times, that's not my jam. I prefer romance or just plain up mystery. Love it when it's romance mystery. Love that. But this was really, I enjoyed myself. The magic system was fascinating. So this centers around Edwina and her fraternal twin sister, Mary, and a man named Ian. So, do you like how I Yuleized little pumpkin head? He was so cute, I didn't want to put him away, so I just stuck a whole Christmas bow on him. Anyway, sorry. So you can tell my voice is a lot better. When I use it a little too much still, it gets like very raspy and yucky. So let me try to do this as fast as I can before that happens. So this takes place, it doesn't really give an exact date, but by setting clues, I would say it's like late 1800s England. Obviously England, because the Thames River is like huge in the story, both like as a story plot line and symbolism. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Enough. I get it. Okay, I understand this is part of fantasy, that you have to have deeper meaning to. Okay, I get it. Fine. So Edwina and Mary are witches, and those who aren't witches they call mortals. So I don't know if their lifespan is longer or not, didn't go into that, but they have an unusual gift. So their mother went on a walkabout and about a year ago and has never returned, and their father left as well on a walkabout and hasn't returned. So it's just them, and they're in their early 20s, and they have unique gifts. So Edwina goes down to the riverbank with her sister, and they find shiny trinkets. And Edwina can always find trinkets, like valuable things. It's like something about her magic lets her know when the tide is low, lets her know if something she found in the river is like a warning or something like that. And she could always find something shiny and valuable. And they have a little shop that they sell those things in. And it doesn't seem like they hurt for money or anything like that. It's more like they have the shop because if they didn't, they wouldn't have anywhere to live, because they definitely have a hoarder type compulsion to collect these shiny things. Now, her sister Mary is a piece of shit. Okay, Mary has a very different compulsion. She is attracted to corpse lights, and I'll let you read the explanation. The book is really fascinating, and she likes collecting memories of mortals. Again, read the book. It's really fascinating, the magic structure, and they're even considered outcasts for other magical users. Now, the world at large doesn't know that witches and magic exist, so they kind of have to blend in and stuff like that. So I will say the first 30% of the book, I didn't like anybody. Wait. Let me back up for a minute. Okay, Ian is a magical private eye that is found on the riverbank by the twins with his memory gone. And he's basically dying. And Mary collects the memories of the dying and keeps them as like her personal baubles. You know what I mean? So they think he's dying, so Mary takes the memory. Turns out he's pretty hard to kill. So he's completely lost his memory. He doesn't know he's magical. He doesn't know his name, doesn't know anything. I forget the exact machinations on how he ends up in the sister shop, but Edwina, who feels so bad about it, tries to give his memory back, but she gave him the wrong memory. So, and I'll leave it there because that's a really important for the rest of the story and the mystery of the story, and I don't want to give it away. So the first 30% of the book, I didn't like anyone. Ian, like, you don't know who he is at all. And if, to be fair, he doesn't know who he is, so it's fine. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, blank slate. Mary and Edwina just seemed very cold and callous when it came to finding a dying man on the riverbank. And even in the beginning, Edwina really does draw a line between magic users and mortals, and she doesn't seem very sympathetic to mortals or want to help mortals at all, or things like that. Like, she definitely is shielding herself a lot. Later on in the book, because it is, Edwina is the main, Edwina and Ian are the main characters. So you do get a lot more of her and how she's super contrite about taking this man's memories, how she's trying to set it right, how she feels so bad. And so you do get more of her. It's just in the beginning, if you feel like you don't like any of them, like I did, keep reading, because it gets a lot better, and the character evolution gets a lot better. I think, again, fantasy isn't like my genre, favorite genre. And one of the reasons, like, the world build tends for me to be very much an info dump in the beginning, and this is no exception. But it wasn't as bad as some that I've read that I just, like, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm DNFing it. No, this one, I stuck with it. I'm happy I did, because the magic system fascinated me. And there's a lot of twists and turns when it comes to magic, which is fun. And I will say about 40% of the book in, I got one of the accomplices for the murder. In fact, I thought they were the murderer. So it was fun that I was mistaken and there was another murderer there. That murderer. Which I really liked. Because it's rare when I get surprised a twist that makes sense still in the storyline. So that was really cool. That was really cool. I think I'm gonna, try more of these books and see where this mystery leads. It's very interesting to me. I'm fascinated. Man, there's a lot of symbolism with the river. I get it. Okay, I get it. Move on. But yeah, I'm happy I stuck with it, even though I wanted to DNF it, because Edwina and Ian ended up being cute. And there is like romance growing between Edwina and Ian. I didn't expect it to be much, because it isn't, because the main part of the story is the fantasy mystery, murder mystery element of it. The love connection between the two is like a secondary plot. So it's very innocent, very sweet, and it's very gradual, which I enjoy for this. It made sense for this universe, for this writer, for this book. So that was cool. 3 stars. Let's see. Is there anything else I'm forgetting that I wanted to mention? Oh yes. And the reason I didn't like Mary from the beginning is because she was very, very cavalier about someone dying. She didn't care, and she seems to only care about her precious baubles, which are the memories. And even to the point where there's like in Edwina's internal monologue of how Mary stole, basically a man that was going to ask Edwina to marry her. Mary tried to steal his memories, and that's why they had to leave the countryside. So from the beginning, I was like, Mary isn't really a nice person, because she even tried to do that to her sister and a man that her sister cared about, and yet Edwina like bends over backwards to make sure Mary knows that she loves her and she doesn't think she's a monster. She understands it's compulsion and it's them against the world. So in that interaction, you get a huge a huge sense of who Edwina and Mary is and how they react to people. Because in that, I saw that Edwina actually cares a lot about people that she lets into her shell, and she would even become almost a doormat to bend over backwards to make sure they're happy, probably because her parents' abandonment and things like that. It made complete sense. And Mary is shown to be like a user, really. She just uses Edwina to make herself feel better. She doesn't try to make Edwina's life any better. And like, that was sort of sad reading it. Remy with the scratches. Okay, so my dog's scratching the carpet, which he's not supposed to do. Alright. He's like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, so Mary just kind of seems as a very self-centered, obsessed person. Like what she wants, what her compulsions are. She doesn't really care about how that affects Edwina and things like that. So through the sisters' connection and their conversations, I got a real sense of who they are, which was interesting, which I enjoyed. So the next is Haunted House, and this is Bump the Night, Medium at Large, Book 1, Meredith Spies. Okay, so this one is a 4-star, and this is an MM Paranormal Contemporary. Okay, so this is Julian, an anthropologist, and Oscar, a medium. Okay, so this had a lot of stuff in the beginning. And I am enjoying this writer's way they kind of set the scene, and I enjoy this writer's dialogue between the main characters. You get a lot of what's going on in the world just through that. This writer, I mean, I think I have to read more of their stuff to really get a sense. But so far, this writer likes to throw out curveballs out of nowhere. But I don't mind too much because they're sort of not even second plot line, like fourth plot line. Like, they throw curveballs so you don't like a person kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So Julian's twin sister, Cece, husband is a producer for this network called Unreality and does a lot of things like finding Sasquatch and I guess ancient aliens would be on that channel if it existed in real life. That's kind of how you got it. And he is disgraced and blacklisted professor because his ex-boyfriend, unbeknownst to Julian, was actually also at the same time he was seeing Julian, was seeing Julian's boss. And Julian's boss at the university blamed Julian instead of the asshole that was cheating on him, because people can be really irrational. And even though that annoyed me, it's very realistic. So he's a substitute teacher at a private school and he hates it. His family, you get that they really hate that he is gay and he's been kind of cut off from the trust fund and the old money and stuff like that. The twin sister always seems to try to find ways to give him his half of the trust that his grandparents gave to her, but like she gets stopped at every turn. So I do really love the siblings relationship, because as a person who has a younger brother and an older sister, this was really realistic to me. Like, you drive each other nuts, but you love each other completely. You know what I mean? So, like, I could annoy my brother, but no one else better pick on my brother. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So their relationship really made a lot of sense to me, and I thought that was a very fun dynamic. So basically, Julian's brother-in-law tries to convince Julian to be the skeptic, not septic, that's something else, skeptic, for their new show, which is basically going to haunted houses that aren't like big famous haunted houses, but more like local legends, and try to figure out if a real murder happened and try to solve that murder. You know, kind of remind me a little bit like Unsolved Mysteries from BuzzFeed when that was on, you know. Like speculation, try to figure out all that stuff. Oscar is the medium that Cece met at a big party, because Cece and Julian are actually old money, you know. And Cece went to a fundraiser, I think it was England, they don't really say, where she met Oscar, and basically she believes him because the grandmother, who's dead, told Oscar tell Cece to tell Julian that his current boyfriend is a user and he needs to dump him right away before things get worse. So Cece's a believer, and she loves it. And, like, there's a character in this, Cynthia, who I absolutely hated, which is weird because that's actually one of my aunt's names, and they could not be two different people. Like, my Aunt Cynthia, probably the chillest, most zen person you would ever meet. This woman in this book was a fucking harpy, and I kind of wanted her to be to die, but she didn't. Because, you know, bloodthirsty. And I thought maybe she was part of what was going on in this book, you know, real time. Turned out she wasn't. She was more of a red herring. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. You gotta throw red herrings in there every once in a while. It's all good. You know, I get it. It's fine. It's a trope for mystery, so of course it's gonna be in here, right? So, Oscar is expecting Julian to be a huge ass because every time he's met a skeptic, they're huge asses. Julian is not an asshole. He doesn't believe it, but he doesn't attack Oscar personally. He just, you know, it's not in his worldview. He's more of a science person, and he's trying to figure out scientifically how these things are happening. And his field of study is burial rites. I forgot to mention that. That's his field of study, anthropologically wise. Whatever. You know what I mean. There's a lot of ghosts in this book. And they're well written. And it's not a scary book. I didn't find it scary. But it's well written. And there's some points that Julian has moments and ooh. And then there's one PA that I'm like, oh yeah, she's totally a ghost. And it's weird she can only talk to Julian, not Oscar. So it's stuff like that. Oscar has a best friend who's also his agent, Ezra, who is empath that helps with the investigation. Ezra and Julian love to snark at each other, like, quite a bit. And the reason Jacob okayed this medium is because Ezra and Oscar had a YouTube channel called Bump in the Night. And it was really popular. It's really popular. So that's, they thought they'll basically be doing that with a bigger budget, you know? So it's a lot of stuff like that. I think that's all I can really say because I don't want to ruin the mystery that goes on. I will say it's a very fast-paced book. It's like over 200 pages. It's like 260, 240 pages or something like that. But it felt like I just flew through it. It really did. It felt like I was like, oh, is this a novella? Oh, no. No, it's not. It's a very fast-paced book, and the writing is streamlined, I guess you could say. And I enjoyed the little bits and pieces that later on when you find out what happened, you're like, oh, that's why this, that's why that, that's why that. I enjoy that. When you're doing a mystery, that should be what the reader does. Like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense because this and this. It shouldn't be like, well, that's out of nowhere. But if the writer says that's what it is, that's what it is. No, mystery, you gotta build up the clues. I don't know why I'm snapping. Stop snapping. Okay. So that was 4 stars, and I enjoyed that. And I'm enjoying this new writer. So there we go. I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.